friends, welcome back. Today we're talking Saxon 7.6, it's the 4th edition. We are talking about lesson 2, which is going to be multiplying and dividing whole numbers and money, and our fact families part 2. So a little bit more advanced from what we were doing in the last lesson. Okay, first things first, we have find the cost of 2 dozen pencils at 35 cents each. All right, well remember 2 dozen, that's going to be, there's 12 in a dozen, so 2 dozen is going to give us 24 pencils at 35 cents each. Now, 35 cents can be written like this, or it can be written like this, 0.35 with a dollar sign. And so I'm going to write it as 0.35, and we'll talk about that. We've got, or we'll leave it as cents for right now and convert. Either way works well. So we want to find the cost of 2 dozen pencils. If they're 35 cents each, we need to multiply it by however many pencils there are. And since there are 24 pencils, we are going to multiply that by 35 cents. Now, there are 2 different ways of doing multiplication here. The first way you may be familiar with is 4 times 5 gives me 20. I do 0, and I carry my 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 more is going to give me 12. Now, for my next row, I put a 0 in there as a placeholder, and now I do 3 times, oh, and when I put my placeholder in, I cross those out so I don't get confused. 3 times 4 gives me 12, so 2 carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. That was terrible. You should really line these up. I did a terrible job of lining those up. I'm sorry. And then you add these guys together, 0, 4, and 8. Now, there's another way of doing this called the box method. You'll notice we're doing 2 numbers, like 2 digits by 2 digits. So when I go to draw my box out, I'm going to do 2 digits. I'm going to do a 2 by 2 box. So okay, so 24 by 35. And actually, I just did not leave myself enough room there. Sorry about that. So 24 by 35, that means that 24 is 20 and 4, and 35 is 30 and 5. Now, we multiply. So 30 times 2, that's 3 times 2 is 6 with 2 zeros. 1, 2. 3 times 4 is 12 with 1 0. That 0 right there. 5 times 2 is 10 with an extra 0. 5 times 4 is 20. Now what we can do is add all these up. Well, 600 plus this is 700. That's 820 plus 20 more is 840. So we have 840 cents. Remember when I talked about the decimal at the beginning? We did not use the decimal here, so this is 840 cents. But to turn it into a dollar, if I were to have done this problem as dollars, I would have put a decimal there. And what you do is you look at your original problem and you see how many digits are behind decimals. I've got 1, 2 digits behind decimals here. Now, second step is part of our invisible math. I talked about this in the last lesson, is that if a decimal is not shown, it's at the end. So if we look at our original answer here, it's at the end. Well, we have 2 digits that are behind decimals here. So I need to take this one that's at the end and move it 1, 2 spots. So I end up with $8.40. $8.40 for 2 dozen pencils that are 35 cents each. Okay, so let's take a look at this guy. Now you'll see when I was over here, the zeros, you just multiply the numbers and then you add the number of zeros. That's the same idea with this guy. What we're gonna do though is, you always wanna put the more digits you have, you wanna put those on top. So I'm gonna rewrite this guy as 874 times 4, and then whatever number I get there, do you see how I have these 2 digits here, or two zeros here? I'm going to add 2 zeros to it, okay? So now we just do this like normal. 4 times 4 gives me 16. 4 times 7 is 28. This one more is 29. 8 times 4 gives me 32, 33, 34. And that would be my final answer. Perfect. Good. Okay, so next problem is division. And this is another one where I'm going to want to turn it on its side. First things first, though, the number that comes in front is going to go under the table. So when I go to rewrite this, 3, 4, 5, and 6 divided by 7. Now, the reason I wrote that on its side is when you're doing division, it's very easy to mess up your alignment. And so if you turn your paper on its side, then it works to keep everything in nice columns. Okay, 7 cannot go into 3, but it can go into 34 4 times. Okay, 4 times 7 gives us 28. Let's go ahead and subtract that. From 28 up to 30 is 2. From 30 up to 34 is 4. So 34 minus 26 is going to be 6. You can also borrow if that's easier. When we subtract, we also have to bring down. All right, so 7 goes into 65 9 times. 9 times 7 is 63. And when we subtract, we also bring down. Good. And 7 goes into 26 without going over 3 times. 3 times 7 gives me 21. Subtract that, and I have nothing left to bring down, so this is my remainder. So you can just write it as remainder 5, just like that, and that is your answer for those. All right, let's take a look at fact families now. So for our fact families here, we did addition and subtraction on the last one. Now we're going to do multiplication and division, because the opposite of multiplication is division. All right, so for multiplication, just like addition, you can flip the first two. So this becomes 12 times 5 equals 60. But if we multiply in this direction, we can divide in the opposite direction. So you'll see that that becomes 60 divided by 12 equals 5. 60 divided by 12 equals 5. And again, we're multiplying in this direction, so we're going to divide in this direction. 60 divided by 5 gives us 12. And there are your 4 fact families. In the next lesson, we'll get into missing numbers, which can be a little bit trickier. All right, here are the practice problems. Go ahead and pause the video, do those, and then come on back. All right, let's go through these together. So 37 cents times 20. Wow, I love it when there's a 0 on the end, because what we really just need to do is 37 times 2, and then add that extra 0. 7 times 2 is 14, so 4, carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. So 7, and I didn't use any decimals here, so this is 740 cents. Let's go ahead and convert that into dollars. If we had written this as dollars, I'm sorry, it would be 37 cents written like this, meaning that there's 2 digits behind the decimal. Remember, if the decimal's not shown, it's at the end, so we're going to move it in 1, 2 spots because we have 1, 2 digits behind decimals. So we end up with $7.40. $7.40. All right, for B, 37 times 0. I love this one because anything times 0 is 0. So your answer is 0. Bam, done. All right, let's look at C here. 407 times 37. You know what? I'm going to use a separate piece of paper because I did not leave myself enough room, and you do not want to do that in math. All right, we're going to do it 2 different ways. So what we have is, this is C, 407, and in math, you are going to use a lot of paper. Don't try and squish it all onto one. I know we're trying to save the planet, recycle the paper, but this is not the time to scrimp on paper. All right, so we're going to do it the old way that we've done before. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 0 is 0, plus 4. 7 times 4 is 28. Oh, I should have put that 2 over here. I got a little excited about that, so it's in the wrong column there. Sorry. 2. Okay. Use a 0 for a placeholder. Now we start on 3 times 7 is, oh, and when we do the 0 for the placeholder, cross that out so you don't accidentally add it. 3 times 7 is 21, so I do 1 and I carry my 2. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 3 times 4 is 12. All right, so now we add all these guys up. 9, 5, 8 and 2, 0, carry the 1, 2, 4, 5, and then the 1. So 1, 2, 3, put in our comma, so 15,059. 15,059. I didn't do the answers beforehand, so I apologize. Okay, just double checking. I'm known to make mistakes. All right, so for D, I'm going to keep it tilted on its side as well. It is 5, and we've got $8.40 underneath here. So $8.40 divided by 5. Okay, I'm going to get rid of my dollar sign for right now, and then I'll use it at the end. There's no decimals over here that we need to move because it's already at the end. So we'll just bring this decimal up. 5 goes into 8 one time without going over. 1 times 5 is 5. That gives me subtract and bring down. 5 goes into 35. What is that, like 7 times would be 35, so 6 times. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtract, bring down. 5 goes into 40 8 times. So our answer is $1.68. Good. All right, let's look at E. E is written like this, 200 divided by 12. If it's in the front, it goes under the table. So 12, and then we've got 200. If you don't have a multiplication chart that goes up to 20, you might want to. What I mean by that is this is a 20 by 20. It goes all the way to 20, and it goes to 20 here. It'll make it a little bit easier when you're doing some of these larger numbers. And I don't think anybody expects you to memorize your 12s. It's good if you can, but keep that in mind. Okay, 12 can't go into 2, but it can go into 20 one time. And when I do that, I'm going to subtract and bring down. From 12 up to 8, or up to 20 is 8. All right, so 12 goes into 80. So let's see. Here's our 12s. It goes into 80 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, because if we go, that's a little too far. So 6 times, and 6 times 12 is 72. Okay, and then we're going to subtract, and if we do that, we get 8 again. And so we just say remainder 8. Remainder 8. All right, let's talk about these. Oh, wait, one more division. Sorry. This one's written like this. 234 divided by 3. This is considered your first one. So again, you're going to want to put that under the table. I always say it's on top of the table, put it under the table. So we got 3. Then we go like this. 2, 3, 4. All right, 3 cannot go into 2, but it can go into 23 7 times. Gives me 21, 2, 4, and when we subtract, we bring down. 3 goes into 24 8 times. 8 times 3 is 24, so we are good to go on that one. Beautiful. All right, so our fact families. Oh, actually for G, okay, and I've almost forgot one. For G, which are the divisors in problems D, E, and F? So D, E, and F. Your divisors are this guy right here when it's written like that, this guy right here, or this guy right here. Okay, so that's the one that's, I always say it's like in the middle, or because when we have an answer, that'll make more sense in the next lesson when we have missing problems. But your divisor are going to be these ones, and you need to be able to write it all 3 ways. That's really helpful. Okay, fact family 8, 89, or I'm sorry, 8, 9, and 72. Multiplication straight off the bat, just like addition, the commutative property of multiplication tells us we can flop those guys around. So with multiplication, we flop the first 2. 8 times 9, 9 times 8. Now, if we multiply in this direction, let's divide in the other directions. 72 divided by, you can write it either way. 72 divided by 9 gives me 8. And 72 divided by 8 gives me 9. And you'll notice, just like subtraction, you can flop these last 2. Awesome. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, great work.